Okay, so for this assignment, we are going to learn how to control an LED with a push button. And eventually you're going to make 3 LEDs, each have their own push button that turns it on and off. So I'll show you how to do one LED here. So first we're going to power and ground our rails. So I'm going to grab my 5-volt and connect it up there. I'll make it red. And then I'm also going to connect the 2 rails together also, just to help. It'll make the wires look a little bit cleaner later on. So I'm going to do the same thing with our ground or our negative. Okay, now that we have that all set up, we're going to grab an LED. I'm going to kind of put it on the left side so I have room. And do a push button that I'm going to put across that gap. I'll go there. And we're going to need 2 resistors. So one resistor is going to go from the straight edge or the cathode of your LED to the ground rail. The other resistor is going to go from one corner of the push button also to the ground rail. So the amount we want on these resistors, so let's first start with the LED. So that's our typical 220 ohms. And this resistor that we need for the push button, we're going to put it at 10K. So what this is actually, it's called a pull down resistor. So what it does is once we get all these other wires in here, it gives that pin a weak ground connection so that the pin is what's called never floating. So the reason for that is that electricity is going to take the path of least resistance. So by doing this, it'll sense that the stronger connection is to the power rail or the 5-volt, however it's connected, and ignore the weaker ground. But so it seems like it's not doing anything, but really it's helping to prevent any issues with static or getting unreliable readings, things like that. So let's finish wiring this up. So from our anode, I'm going to go to my 13 pin, and I want to make this a red wire just so I know that I'm working with my red LED. And then from our push button, I'm going to go to our 12 pin, and then we need to connect that opposite corner of the push button up to power. So instead of having this like across the board and things like that, that's why I have the power going up to the other rail and connecting down. So we're going to go to our code, and I'm going to trash this stuff and bring this over here. So we're going to start by creating a variable, and I'm going to call this red button. So we're going to first set the red button to read the output of one of our pins so that it knows it's connected to pin 12 here. So I'm going to go to input, read digital pin, and that is on 12 because that is where that pin is connected there. So next we're going to grab an if-else block. So, and some math, and I'll explain this here in a second. Need the pointy ones because it's a pointy hole in there. And our red button. And high. So this is going to say if the red button is high or getting power or it's pressed, it's complete, then we want our built-in LED, which is 13. But we could also do, we could just call this 13 here, but either set pin 13 or built-in LED, those are the exact same thing. We're going to do high, so that means it's going to turn on. If the button is not being read as pressed, we want it to be 13 and low. So let's see if that works here. Oh, so right now it is opposite. So it's on and then off. Oh, I know what I missed. I want to set this equals to high. So now when we push it, it turns on. And when you let go, it turns off. Another thing, so if you want your button to stay on, kind of a cool trick, if you hold the shift key on your keyboard, then you can click the button, and I'm let go of my shift and my mouse, and it is staying on. And then you have to push it again to turn off. So that might be helpful if you're trying to simulate something else or holding multiple buttons at the same time, but just kind of a fun fact there. So what you guys are going to try and do is add in 2 more LEDs of different colors. So you can pick whatever color you want. So I'll do blue and white, we'll say, and 2 more push buttons and resistors, and program it all up so that when you push each individual push button, it turns on 1 LED. So for turning in, I want to see a video of your simulation running and also show me your code in your video.